Hi guys, we'll just be starting in a few. Hey, hi Prashansa. Actually, should I close the sound for uh okay, is the voice okay? Is it echoing? Hello? Yeah, you're audible. Okay. It's a let hmm Yeah, so just waiting for a few more minutes before everyone joins. Let me meanwhile.
I am not able to join the YouTube link.
Because it changed. Did you join the new one?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, I've shared my screen, so I think all of you are on YouTube Live now. Hey, hi Pavan, hi Samyak. So, guys, the YouTube link has changed to the new one, so please just update your friends for the same.
Adit, I feel we are not sharing screen on YouTube yet.
Sorry,
I feel we are not sharing screen on YouTube yet.
No, we are.
it is.
Okay.
Still 4 minutes to go.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey, hi Prashansa.
How you guys are doing?
You're doing good. So, Ayush, you're joining from Singapore, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So till now we have got 12 people already joined.
So, Aditya, what you are bringing today as a bag of secrets?
So it's with all of us. So actually I just remember my old days in college when we were preparing for placements, and few juniors were texting me that uh, the placement is coming. How should we prepare? So that's why the idea for this going live came, and I thought I'll invite all of you guys so we all can share our experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to share this knowledge. And
So I remember I was really worried during my college days for the whole placement season. I don't know how it was for you guys.
you were worried, like, you got placed in Microsoft, Flipkart, Ola. You have done, I think, internship in
How
Google.
many companies has it been, Aditya, now?
I don't want to guide people in other directions, but I think, but like, yeah, with 6, 7 years experience, it's fourth or fifth for me.
That's great.
With 7 years of experience total.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So Kushagri, Ishka, how was it for you guys?
I think very hectic for me personally because we were the COVID batch. And by the time we got into our placement season, everywhere layoffs were going on. So it was
Right.
very traumatic for us. But I guess I got lucky, and here I am working at Google now. So really happy about it. How about you, Kushagra?
Yeah, pretty much same for me also. I was from the COVID batch, so like, I was too panicky how the placement will go. And at that time, I seeked Adit for guidance. Like Adit mentored me during the placement seasons, so it helped me a lot during that time to achieve a like right goal and good company. So that time Adit helped me. So now it's time to help others. So
Great. Hello, Shabam. Hello, Aditya Verma. Sanya. Hello.
So, Ayush, how's it for you? Like, in Singapore, is it like similar to how we as Indians go through placements, or is there a cultural difference there?
No, no, it's very different over there. There's no on-campus placement, so everybody has to apply off-campus.
Okay,
It's very competitive out there.
crazy. And how's it for you, Prashansa? Like, how's visa doing?
Experience with visa is great. Like, the joining process was a very smooth process, and like a lot of new technologies are here. Like today the world is going over generative artificial intelligence and machine learning, so we are actually seeing a company things are getting implemented, use cases are there.
It's nice. Yeah, I think this has been uh, like since start we have been focusing a lot on women in tech, and there are a lot of programs running across Microsoft, Google, Visa, everywhere, where we want to promote women who are in tech, because the ratio is still very distorted. I think it pretty much starts from the engineering colleges itself. So it's, and it keeps on propagating and becomes more intense and more vivid once we enter into the corporate world. So we'll also discuss what all opportunities we have, and I got few questions around, like if we are from non-tech background, or let's say if we are from electronics background. So like Ishka is from ECE, I guess, and she made it into Google. So what path we can follow? So we'll be discussing things around those also, and especially with the if you're a fresh grad, like what all pathways we have to get into these companies, and talking about, let's say, if given a choice between joining a startup versus a big MNC. So like Kushagra here has worked with lot of startups like Dunzo. He's working with ClearTax currently. So we'll discuss in detail about how the startup culture is, and is it a good choice to join some startup versus a big MNC, especially when you're starting your career. So I have got the list of questions open with me, and I'll be going in detail with all the questions I've got from you guys. So I think it's already 3 p.m. and uh, we'll just get started formally. So hello everyone, and I'm Aditya, and this is our first YouTube live. Initially, we wanted to try different platforms, but I thought this would be better because there's no limit on how many people can join, and we can talk face to face. So this is my first YouTube live session with all of you, and there might be some technical glitches because we are still figuring out how it works, and we'll try our best to make this as smooth as possible for everyone. Uh, so I'll give a brief intro about me, and then I'll go around the table. So in the panel, um, we have Kushagra today. He's currently working as SD2 in ClearTax, and he has previously worked with companies like Hashden, Deloitte, and Dunzo. And then we have Prashansa as well. She's working as a senior software engineer at Visa currently, and worked with multiple companies like Sapient in the past, and has a she was a gold medalist in her college as well. So feel free to ask her questions regarding GPA as well, and how important that is for placements. Uh, then we have Ayush on the board with us. He's done internship at Wells Fargo, worked there full time, and has experience with doing masters in one of the top 5 universities in the world. So he's currently studying for his masters in New York, sorry, Singapore University. And we'll get a lot of insights from him regarding if someone has planned to do for masters, and even he was in the same boat, like whether he should be starting his career with a corporate journey here in India, or should he go for masters. So we can discuss the pros and cons between doing job, going for masters, and when is the right time. uh, then on the board we have Ishika. So she's a recent grad from Manipal, and she has done her internship at Amazon, and currently she's working as software engineer at Google. So she's again from EC background, and we'll get to know a lot about how we can jump the boats from a different stream to getting to the topmost software engineering company into the world. Uh, so yeah, that's about our panel. And coming to me, I'm currently working as a staff software engineer at Visa, and previously I've worked with companies like Microsoft, Ola, Flipkart, and I've also done internships at Geeks for Geeks and Honeywell. So that's a bit about me, and currently I have close to 7 years of industry experience, and I'm also an alumni of Manipal. So if there's someone from Manipal, hi. And yeah, actually, I think both Ayush and Ishka are also from Manipal. So uh,
You're making it sound like a college
yeah, it
no
all
name sort of thing.
it almost feels like going back to college days.
Mhm.
So
And in audience also we have people from Manipal like Pratiksha is from
yeah,
Manipal.
hi Pratik.
And Shubham also from Manipal.
Hey, hi Shubham. So yeah, so yeah, let's get started with questions. So the first question I have on the panel is for I think Kushagra would be the best person to answer. So the question is related to joining a startup versus joining big MNCs, especially when you're starting career your career. So what's your take on that, and what are the pros and cons of working with a big startup, a startup versus a big MNC? So Kushagra, if you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, thanks, Aditya. So, in my experience, I've been working with MNC that is Hasbro Deloitte, and I've also worked with a startup that is Dunzo and ClearTax. So, the preference of choice, key, what decision one must make with joining the company, is totally based on his ideas, what he wants to like choose when it comes to like working environment. So, like if the candidate like is able to like work in high pace environment, in that case startup I feel is the best environment where he can learn grow. So like uh, explaining in depth would be requiring a small kind of differentiation how startup like provides facilities and how MNCs provide facilities. So like startup provides a flat hierarchy while the MNC has an like ladder hierarchy. So when it comes to startup, you can directly reach out to your seniors, CEO, like in the panel there, like in the floor itself, you can roam and ask about the company, the growth, you can have a discussion around that. So in that case startups like is great, like you know the depths of the company. And also when it comes to the competitive pay, like the payment, when startups do have a competitive pay rather than the MNC. And while working in a startup, you are already like dedicated as a part of a company. So you hold ESOPs. So the growth of the company is directly reflecting as a ESOPs. So you will be definitely getting more money when you work hard. The company will earn more and you will get the like stocks. That's the very good thing when it comes to startup. But that is like a fair play. Like at times startups do grow, but at times they do fall. So there are certain companies who have like ESOPs turned to like 100x the price, while for MNC, like some though failing startups got to up to zero earth value. And coming to the work-life balance, I feel startup has a little hectic work culture, and MNC do has a better work culture. So like you can log in, log out at a specific time, but in startup, when you are on call, you need to be attending the sessions, attending the calls, fixing the bugs at late time also. So that is a little con I feel. And one more thing related to startups is a role. So like when a developer is working at a startup, is assigned multiple roles, not only a specific developer role. He might be taking a backend engineer, at times he had to indulge in a front end role, at times he had to indulge in DevOps role. So like it is an involvement of as a whole working as a full stack or something like that. So you
Yeah.
need to that person.
Yeah. So
Uh,
actually, yeah, I think Aditya Verma has another question. Like how the interviews are different in startups versus big MNCs. So, uh, do we feel the interview process is also a bit different for these two?
interview process doesn't vary much, but yeah, when it comes to startup, they do ask a lot of competitive program because they are directly judging on how good are you at problem solving. While MNC do proper judging on oops concepts and the basics, right? So
Okay.
they, I mean, like startups directly judge on problem solving. That's the best thing to sum up this.
Okay. And actually, just echoing what Kushagra just said. So even I remember while I was in Flipkart, so a lot of people had lot of ESOPs from Flipkart. I think this is back in 2018, and it got acquired by Walmart. So Walmart had a pay like they were buying the ESOPs from Flipkart employees, and
Just one second, Aditya. Sorry to
yeah.
break you. Actually, people are asking in comment first what are ESOPs. So if you can
Okay,
inform.
so ESOPs basically stand for employee stock options. So they are pretty much similar to the stocks which are listed on the any stock platform like National Stock Exchange or US Stock Exchange. The only difference between ESOPs and real stocks are that they are not tradable publicly. Only the employees and the internal founders and the board people can trade those amongst themselves. and the price is also decided by the company valuation or the company perception rather than what is the actual market price. So you can treat them pretty much similar to the normal stocks, except the companies which are not listed, you might not be able to sell these stocks unless the company is buying themselves or having a buying back option. They are still not liquidated in a sense to say that. But that is pretty much about it. And the good thing is, like how Kushagra said, that they are high risk and high reward entities. So it might boom up really fast, like what happened with Flipkart when Walmart had a buyback option. So everyone, I remembered, a lot of people having good amount of ESOPs, especially senior developers and the ones in management roles, became crorespati over a night. And similarly, another fallback story is in case of Ola. A lot of people had ESOPs for Food Panda, and it didn't really go well, and their valuation came really down. So it's high risk and high reward. So that is the case. But yeah, having said that, I think in startups the learning curve is really huge, like how Kushagra mentioned, because you wouldn't have a lot of layers of hierarchy. It would be a flat hierarchy, and you can you know get to play multiple hat roles. In that case, you will be the developer, you will be the tester, you will be the one who's taking the deployment and talking to even clients and product managers in a lot of cases. So the learning curve is really good. Your work life balance might not be so much. So
Yeah, that's
depend.
true. I mean, you get to act as a lot of, you have other responsibilities as well other than just writing code, and that really helps you learn a lot of other skills that you might need, let's say in future, if you want to start your own startup. I think
Yeah.
that really helps
आता
you.
है so just one thing अगर आप एक आसान लैंग्वेज में बताना चाहे तो stocks के advantage क्या है like ESOPs के advantage to the freshers if can they negotiate as a part of their salary component and how much like discount is there so
ओके, तो ईसॉप्स के केस में आई थिंक स्पेशली अगर आप फ्रेशर हो तो नेगोशिएशन पावर उतनी ज्यादा नहीं होती, क्योंकि आप कॉलेज प्लेसमेंट्स में ही बैठ रहे हो एंड दे हैव अ फिक्स सैलरी स्ट्रक्चर की इतना ही है. दी गुड थिंग अबाउट ईसॉप्स इज कि वो 100x हो सकते हैं 3 से 4 साल में. लेकिन जो आपके बिग एमएनसीज के स्टॉक्स हैं, लेट्स से गूगल या माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के, उनका एक स्टेडी ग्राफ है ग्रो करने का. दे ग्रो ईयर ऑन ईयर at a rate of, let's say, 20-25%. But ESOPs can decline also very faster and rise also very faster. It could be like कि आज हमें $10 worth of let's say clear tax का ESOP options मिले और 5 साल बाद उनकी value $100. And there have been example, it's not hypothetical. So अगर आप I have few friends working in Zomato. तो जोमेटो के साथ यही हुआ कि जिनके पास ईसॉप्स थे, उनकी वैल्यूएशन आईपीओ के लिस्ट होने से पहले इंटरनल वैल्यूएशन लेट्स से $50 के, सॉरी ₹50 के करीब थी. और जब आईपीओ आया और अभी उसकी अगर आप वैल्यूएशन देखोगे, इट हैज क्रॉस्ड वे बियॉन्ड 150 एंड ऑल. सो विद इन 2-3 years इट हैज ऑलरेडी ग्रोन टू 3 times. तो इंडियन स्टार्टअप्स के साथ भी ये एग्जांपल्स हैं और यूएस स्टार्टअप्स के साथ भी ये एग्जांपल है. सो आई होप दैट आंसर्स. Now the second question which I am getting a lot is regarding CGPA. तो अगर हम placements के लिए बैठ रहे हैं, especially अगर हम aim कर रहे हैं कि हमें कंपनीज लाइक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वगैरह में या amazon इन्फोसिस में जाना है, सम्यक का जो क्वेश्चन है, तो उसमें जीपीए कितना मैटर करता है एंड डज इट एक्चुअली क्रिएट बायसेस when you're planning to aim for these companies, or it's good? So I'll probably redirect this question to Prashansa and Ishka. So these were the ones holding a very good GPA. I think Ayush as well. So you guys can maybe pitch in. Prashansa was gold medalist in her college. So Prashansa, do you think did it give you an advantage having a very high GPA during college placements?
Yeah, it gives an advantage as well. Like, अगर आप जैसे my CGPA was 9.6 out of 10. So I am not promoting everyone कि इतना ही CGPA लाना है, but minimum आप like you can have maintain a CGPA of 8 out of 10 so that you are eligible for every companies. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कल को Microsoft आ रही है, Cognizant आ रही है and you are at 6 CGPA and you are not eligible to sit in that. Just maintain a decent one. So 9.6 इतना high CGPA लाने का advantage ये है कि sometimes usually colleges का होता है कि आप सिर्फ एक ही company में बैठ सकते हो and if you get placement now you are not eligible to sit in other companies. But if you have a high CGPA, then they consider you for other companies as well, which are giving you good packages. Like suppose you got placed in a company having giving you a 10 lakh of package, but another company is coming up with 25 lakh package. So they allow you to sit in that company as well because इससे college का भी फायदा हो रहा है थोड़ा कि if you are cracking that as well and getting placed and you are also getting a higher package. So
So
my
Yeah,
conclusion is
even
just
in
yeah.
yeah, even in my experience, I've seen that having a very good CGPA at least lets you like get shortlisted in all the interviews which are held on campus. If any company is coming and if you have a 9+ CGPA, then it's almost a sure shot thing that your profile will at least get shortlisted in their resume pool. And then if you have a decent resume, then you'll definitely get interviews. So in my case, also I had a good resume and I had a decent CGPA. So I was almost getting all the interview calls for each and every company that was coming.
oh, that's
Yeah, I can
nice.
respond to that, but at the same time, I want to highlight this. Having a good CGPA is a really good thing, but that is not the only criteria for getting placement calls, interview calls. You have to have certain requirements and basic skills in your resume. Without that, even if you get a interview call, it makes no sense if you're not able to clear that interview, right? So having a good CGPA helps you in initial stages a lot, uh, and especially in colleges. If let's say you are from non-CS branches like I was, what we used to have is we used to have a different cutoff for our branches to be able to sit for placement for a certain company. So there are these things which are college particular. Not sure if it's the case everywhere, but these are the things that people generally don't tell you in college, and you have to figure it out on your own. So make sure that you have at least 8 CGPA. That is the bar. Below that, it gets a bit hard. But yeah, that's the case.
So yeah, echoing to what Ishka just said, so I can talk a bit about my story as well. So there's some hope for people with not a very good GPA. I was amongst one of those. So my GPA, while I was sitting in college placements, was 6.97. So I wasn't eligible for a lot of companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, and this actually did not become a major blocker in my life to go into Microsoft or Flipkart later. But during placement times, I honestly did feel pretty bad when I saw my friends going for interview rounds, and I knew that my preparation was good enough to actually be on a competing platform with these people, and I couldn't even sit for those. So I would say that it doesn't matter a lot, um, like getting a very good GPA, but you should have a standard. At least try maintaining above 7 or 7.5, so that you are eligible for all the companies. And honestly, it does create some biases. So let's say if it's these days, like the market might not be doing very good and the competition is very cutthroat. So let's say if there's just vacancy for 1 or 2 people, so and they might give slight preference to someone having higher GPA. Not just it doesn't necessarily mean that it is an indicator of very good technical knowledge for sure, but it does indicate that a person is really sincere. He has done all the hard work. He has done all his assignments on time. He has been studying at least a night before the exam. So these all indicators matter a lot when you're joining as a fresher, because a lot of things would be going into your learning curve. So it means you're a good learner and you have discipline enough to learn something new. So yeah, that's about it. So now I'm getting another question. Yeah, this one is point blank: how to get into Google. So I'll just direct this to Ishika to share her experience. Key, how was the transition from EC to getting into Google? How was the journey around, and what all ways we can get into Google?
So
And
I know the market is a bit tough now, but I guess I'll tell you guys how I got into Google. So I started applying in my second year. I did not have much knowledge. I was in EC branch. I did not have any hopes, but despite that, I still went ahead and applied to their career page. I saw a job opening for an internship, and I was like, "Yeah, looks good. Let's apply." What's the worst that can happen, right? I'll get rejected. I was at that stage where I would have rejected myself any day. So I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Let's do it. And I think a few months later, a recruiter reached out to me saying they like my profile and they would like to move forward with the interviews. And I said, okay, great. And then they asked me to share my updated resume with them. And 3 hours later, when I did that, they were like, oh, sorry, not moving forward with you. So that happened with me in my second year, but that did not stop me from applying. So, I mean, Google was like my dream company. So, in my third year, there was this hackathon called Google Girl Hack, in which I participated with two other college mates, and we made it to the finals. And we actually were the first runner up. Like, we got the second prize nationally for that. And through that, I got an interview call finally in my third year, and then I prepared. I prepared a lot, and it was a very very long process. I think it went on for months because of the hackathon, which went on for like 2 to 3 months. In between, I had my exams as well. Later after that, I got the interviews. There were 3 interviews, and I'll talk about the procedure and how the interviews are done a bit later. But yeah, finally, after months of waiting and anxiety, the recruiter reached out to me at 7 p.m. in the evening saying that they're moving forward with me. And honestly, that was a very happy moment for me. I was like, I can't describe how happy I was. But yeah, this was the path that I followed. There are conventional ways as well, through the career page, where you can look at a job opening, you see you have certain skills that match it, and you like that position, and it fits your profile. You can apply for it. Uh, Taking and asking for referrals definitely helps you a lot. I know cases where a lot of people were approached by recruiters directly through LinkedIn, but that is mostly the case for people who have some years of industry experience. And I would say if Google visits your college, like it's easier to get into a company through college placements than off campus, because there you're competing with your college mates itself. So the competition is a little less and the process is a lot faster, I believe. But yeah, that those are some ways through which you can apply to Google.
oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So, actually, I remember like a lot of people, especially when they have interviews scheduled for companies like Microsoft, Google. So it's always a very good idea that you have a mock interview practice with someone who's already working there and ask for their referral. So once you are going through a referral route, getting into the company or your resume getting shortlisted becomes slightly easier, because typically in a single opening we are getting like 300 to 400 job applicants. So referral does goes a long way. So Prashansa, just share the WhatsApp link. If you want, any one of you guys want a referral in Google, Ishka would be really happy to help, I'm sure. And even I think, oh, hi Anish. So Even in Microsoft, I think there are openings for internships going on. So I have left Microsoft, but we have people like Anish Bose just joined, who's working with Microsoft currently. And we can connect you guys if you need a referral in that case. So, Prashansa, just post that WhatsApp group where we can share the referrals, and I just pin that to the chat. So, if you are interviewing with any companies, let's say Wells Fargo or ClearTax or any company like that, across our network, we can share those, and we can. It would be really great if we can arrange a referral for you, and if we can play a small role in helping you succeed. So that would be really win-win for both of us.
Yeah, I think this entire panel itself has a experience in more than 10 to 12 companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, this definitely will help you guys to build a network. Networking is very, very important. I think you'll see this as in when you start working and you grow. Networking helps a lot. So yeah, definitely do join this WhatsApp group, and we'll be happy to help you guys wherever we could.
Yeah, and especially like I think lot of people, what Ishka said is like self-reject themselves. They don't apply at the first place. So if you apply, you might get rejected. If you don't apply, you will definitely get rejected. So never do that. And another question on that is like what we could do with our resume, so that our chances of getting shortlisted, especially in off-campus scenarios, can improve. So I'll probably transfer this question to Prashansa. Like what all we could do with our resume to increase our chances. And I'll also like to add another question to that. How much important does subjects like object oriented programming or operating system play a role when you're looking for your first job straight out of college? So Prashansa, over to you.
Yeah. So like resume, so multiple times what students do is they just made a resume and they come to us like our resume is not getting shortlisted. And multiple times we see is they mention every language in this resume, like they know Python, C, C++, Java, .NET. They think like mentioning multiple languages will help them getting shortlisted, but that is not true. So always like get hands on only on one language, master it, and crack the interview based on this language only. So like front end agar aapko html css aata hai, just mention this. जावास्क्रिप्ट आता है, जस्ट मेंशन दिस. आप अपनी एक कोडिंग लैंग्वेज पकड़ के चलिए, लाइक आपको जावा में अगर आपको लीड कोड पे प्रॉब्लम दिया जाए, तो आप उसको अगर जावा में सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, सी में सॉल्व कर रहे हैं या सी प्लस प्लस में, just mention that language. Database point of view से just mention MySQL, Oracle और जिस भी language में आप comfortable हैं. Don't mention too many languages. Another thing is like mention your projects जो आज तक आपने किए हैं offline या फिर अपने college में किए हैं, किसी hackathons में किए हैं, and उसको भी like आप pointers में mention करिए. First the title, then a small description. Don't make everything on your resume in a paragraph. Just have the bullet points. And apart from that, resume for freshers, I feel like it should be only of one page. No need to have it 2 pages, 3 pages. I think in till today time as well, I have my resume as only one page after having 6 years of experience. So सारा content fit हो जाता है. You just have to plan it smartly. Another thing is जब आप interviews देने जाते हैं, so some of the basic questions जो लोग miss कर देते हैं, they take it so lightly. Like one of the most important questions is tell me about yourself. And people like मुझे तो अपने बारे में पता ही है, मैं बता दूंगा. But नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. You have to prepare for this question. Like जब भी आपसे ये question पूछा जाए, आपके पास content होना चाहिए 1 minute 30 seconds तक का, so that जब आपके live answer कर रहे हो, तो आप 1 minute तक you are speaking it. एंड उसको बताने का भी आपका एक स्टोरी होना चाहिए दैट यू आर ड्राइविंग दैट इंटरव्यू. Whatever you tell that and tell me about yourself answer, your further interview will move that way only. So and कुछ क्वेश्चंस होते हैं जैसे स्ट्रेंथ, व्हाट आर योर स्ट्रेंथ्स, व्हाट आर योर वीकनेस. उस टाइम पे आप फिर सोचेंगे इंटरव्यूअर के सामने, दैट वोंट वर्क. यू हैव टू pre-prepare the answers of these questions. So yeah, these are the small things. And never make your resume too colorful. Just make it simple, like underline या bold कर देंगे चीजें, sticker लगा देंगे. So do not do that.
Thanks, Prasansa. I think we have one more question on the similar lines from Clue the Cat. Very interesting name. What are some relevant extracurriculars we can do in our sophomore, junior, and senior years of college to increase our chances of getting into good companies or graduate school? Uh, Ayush, would you like to take this answer?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many activities you can delve into and trying to see which would help you. But I mean, to be very specific, there is not a single thing that's going to help you in this matter. But there must be many coding clubs in your college. Like, for example, in my college, there was a club called ACM and there was a club called IECSE. These clubs were primarily coding focused, and they used to organize very fun events, very fun contests, and different competitions, which basically they put you in this environment where you're forced to compete with your batchmates and where you're forced to continue and keep practicing. And this kind of culture really helps. And I've seen that in many colleges, this sort of culture is not existing. So, what people do is they start trying to bring this culture into their college.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I use just an addition to that. Like, so can you talk a bit about your college and especially for people who are looking to go for masters? Like, what route did you take to end up into such a good college? And uh,
oh,
yeah,
sure. So, even in my high school, during my high school, I had already decided that I want to do a master's. And all the things that I've done in my college was primarily based off of that. That I know that after 4 years of my undergrad, I have to go for a master's. So every club that I joined, every activity that I did, I kind of did it keeping that in mind. So it's good to know what you want and then do stuff accordingly. So, for example, I wanted to do a master's, and I knew that having both practical and theoretical knowledge is important. So I knew that keeping a good CGPA is important. So I had that going on side by side. Along with that, I knew that if I do good research, that increases my chance a lot. So I joined a satellite club in my college, and the satellite club was actually working with ISRO. So it was a very good opportunity for me to gain some good exposure over there. And in my second year only, I had published two research papers in IEEE. So that really helped. And actually, I was also an ECE in my first year, and I had switched to computer science out of a whim. Um, and that actually helped a lot because later on in my third year, I actually understood what coding actually is, how you do it, what are the applications. And that's when I got into more CS related stuff. I was more interested in like theoretical computer science, and those things helped me get internships. So I did an internship on backend development in a startup. I did a data engineering internship in Dell Technologies. I did a research internship in Samsung, and then I did a software engineering internship in Wells Fargo. So this curiosity helped me explore all these fields of CS, and that sort of curiosity shows in your profile. So this will help you to showcase a very good problem, like a statement of purpose as to why you want to do a master's in, let's say, computer science. So
yeah,
building a profile from ground up, thinking that from the beginning, knowing what you want, that really helps.
That's really helpful
nice.
insight, Ayush.
Yeah, makes sense. And Uh, I think there's another question which goes and talks a lot about what is the off-campus process like. So there's a lot of people who are saying that they are mid level engineers who are into their midway into the corporate journey. So how we can play this off campus game and get ahead into that. So I'll take up this question, and I'll also ask Kushagra to pitch in, because he's probably also in the similar boat, and maybe Prashansa as well. These people have had some off campus switches into their career. So starting if I start with my journey, so one thing which I did was I always kept my LinkedIn profile updated. And most of the interview calls which I got were from LinkedIn, especially from Flipkart and Microsoft. I didn't ever actually apply to them. So to say, I was at the right place at the right time, pretty much. So from Microsoft, I got a call in around 2020 during COVID, and that time Microsoft was expanding crazy. Like they were almost doubling their engineer size, and that is when a recruiter reached out to me. So this matters a lot. Lot of people neglect their LinkedIn profile. I see there's not even a photo added to their profile, so that avoids building a connect with the HR or someone who's trying to reach out to you. And sometimes they write a lot on their LinkedIn headline, saying Java lead code, this. So try keeping it concise. Keep it to what your core values are, or what all one or two best things you have done. So let's say if you're already working in, let's say, a mid-scale company, and you want to jump to an MNC, so your title should go something like SD2 at XYZ company. And maybe if you are proficient in Java, and in fact, I'll say prefer not to be very language or anything specific. So let's say if I talk about Microsoft, they work primarily on C Sharp and .NET. So if I would have been very hard coded stuck on that C++ or Java is my forte language, I would have never migrated or taken this step. And even it would have built a doubt in the mind of the recruiter as well. Will he be able to adapt C sharp, or will he be like I was into Azure? So will he be able to adapt to Microsoft Azure? So don't be very language specific. Keep a generic profile, and it should be speaking more about that you're willing to learn, and you're a good software engineer. So that should be the case. And then there are a lot of platforms like Naukri.com, InstaHire. A good hack I could tell in this is, like, even if you're not on notice period, on InstaHire or Naukri.com, they have a option to tell that you're on notice period. So that way, a lot of recruiters will come to your profile because they want to hire faster. So that is another hack. And once you go to the interview rounds, and if the question pops up, you could be honest about it, that not actively have resigned, but might negotiate my notice period with my manager. So that kind of gives an incentive that, okay, you're pretty much willing to take what it is required to join the company earlier. And even if your notice period is a lot of days, you can always mention to the HR that I can negotiate it with my manager. So that brings in hope, and your chances of getting an off campus interview increases that way. So now I'll just shift the gears to Prashansa and Kushagra, if they can talk about their off campus experiences and how did they manage to switch so many good companies.
Kushagra first. You go.
Yeah, sure. Adit, I was totally agreed with the point. The another thing that I want to add is ki, like there's a coding platforms like Hacker Earth, Hacker Rank, Lead Code. So there are multiple off-campus drive for freshers also going on there. So you can directly apply there, participate in the contest, get the small idea, and yes, if the results are good, they will definitely reach out to you. The other thing is like most of the MNCs every year held their coding examinations where you can participate. So like Infosys got their InfiTQ, Hack with Infi. TCS got TCS Code Vita. Wipro got their I couldn't recall the name. Like every such company MNCs got a specific coding exam throughout like once a year. So you need to like keep a track on it and do apply there. Do get a like Do prepare yourself better and try to score maximum, and then you will definitely land a proper job in the MNCs. In case of startups, you can directly reach out to the LinkedIn profiles of HRs and Insta that you already mentioned. Is something that is great helpful to land a job.
Yeah, so just echoing that, so whenever you're reaching out to the HR, don't leave short messages. Don't be like, "Hi, how are you?" So in most of the cases, the HR would be getting a lot of messages, and they would miss out on your messages and wouldn't even bother to reply. So it should be something like, "Hi, whatever is the name of the HR, comma, something like, I am Aditya. I am currently working at this company, and I see there are a lot of openings in your respective company, and I would be interested in applying to those. Could you please guide me through the process or refer me? I have 5+ years of experience working with Java and could be a good add-on to your company." So that way you're selling yourself as well. It's not like you're just requesting or asking or begging for something. You're like, you have your stand there registered that, okay, this is what I have done, this is what I'm interested, and could you take my case forward? So that way an HR, or even if someone who's already working in the company, would have higher chances to refer you there. And if possible, if you have already identified the opening, just add that referral link or the link to the opening you want referral to. Same is valid for us. You guys can reach out to us uh, through this WhatsApp group which Prashansa has pinned, or through LinkedIn. You can directly reach out to me or any one of us, and we'll be happy to even review your resume or LinkedIn profile. And if there are relevant openings in our current company, Visa, Microsoft, Google, Clear Tax, anywhere, we'll be really happy to refer you guys.
I think I would like to add to what Kushagra said, plus one to the things that he mentioned about having different kind of contests which are company related. I think both my placements, I mean Amazon and Google, were through off campus itself, uh, through these hackathons that these companies have. And even though you might think that you might not win the hackathon, or let's say, and in fact there was one another that I participated in, which was code for good for JPMC. So these companies keep having these hackathons through which you do get an interview call, or you do even get direct placements if you're qualifying for the final rounds of these hackathons, like in the case for JPMC, I think. So these are very underrated ways of getting into companies which people don't realize. I think there's one for Microsoft as well, the Engage program. So you can explore whatever companies you want to get into, and there are these ways that you can get into these companies as well. So thanks, Kushagra, for highlighting that out.
So,
Mostly, I feel ki people like don't even participate. They think that they won't be able to make it, but they
Yeah,
should
yeah.
participate. So
That,
there's a, like Google Kickstart is there and Facebook Hacker Cup, and like literally there are 1,000 people sitting from India. You can definitely rank like land a proper rank, but people like misinterpret it like it is a heavy contest or something like that. They don't even participate.
right. People generally settle very early. Like in college, I got a placement in Juniper Networks, and despite that, I kept applying off campus to get into even better companies or my dream companies. But that's what you have to do. You don't have to settle very early. You don't have to restrict yourself. Just keep applying. So that's a good thing to do. That
Okay.
definitely helps you.
Yeah, actually, another hack. We'll come back to you, Prashansa. I think she wanted to add something. I'll tell you few hacks. How you could increase your chances in your resume get shortlisted. So, because in Visa also, when we were hiring for one position, we got like 400, 500 applicants for that, and there was no way we could go through all the resumes. So, generally, HRs have now moved to using some kind of softwares or bots mechanism to scan through the resumes and create a group of shortlisted of, let's say, 20 or 15 resume to call for interviews. And what these softwares or bots are looking are for is the keywords. So let's say if they find a lot of keywords saying hacker rank, geeks for geeks, lead code, uh, or any company experience like Amazon, Google, they shortlist your resume. So let's say even if you're just starting up and you don't have a very good rank in all of these competitive sites like CoachChef, HackerRank and all, just add whatever rank you have. The important point is that keyword should be there in your resume. So if the keyword of CoachChef or HackerRank is there, your chances is definitely going to increase despite of the rank, because they don't have a number for rank. They don't know what a good rank is. It might be, let's say 50,000 people are participating, 1,000 is still a very good rank. And if it let's say only 100 people are participating, then top 10 is a good rank. So that kind of measures these softwares still don't have. So meanwhile we can use those to our favor and add whatever ranks you have in these sites. Another hack which I could tell about online test is, let's say if a question is really hard and you're not able to solve, people just leave it at that. And in such a stiff competition with online test, you might miss it out by 1 or 2 points. So at least go ahead and apply a brute force, and at least code the sample test cases. So that will at least give you 2 test cases out of, let's say, 10 correct. Or let's say if there's a boundary test case which says that if such an arrangement is not possible, print -1. So print -1 for everything. So out of 10 cases, there would be 3 or 4 which are expecting -1 as the answer. And those will having more points because they are boundary test cases. So these are some tips and tricks which can help you without putting in a lot of effort. And we should always uh, use those in our favor. I've been guilty of doing those during my college days. So
Work smart, not just
Even me also.
smart.
so yeah, we could do that. So yeah, moving on to Prashansa. Yeah, you were saying something.
So we were getting very good questions and comments regarding the data structure. So I was thinking to answer that. So one question is from Shridi, like how to master DSA, and another question from Nishant is there. How much DSA topic or questions is needed to solve and get good packages as a fresher?
Okay, that's a good one. So we'll go around the table and just see how many questions each one of us did during our college days. So, like, I remember solving maybe close to 400, including Geeks for Geeks, Hacker Rank, and everything. So that was my number. Sorry.
In how many months?
I think that I started pretty early during second year of my college itself. So by the time I started fourth year, the number was close to 400. So let's see round the table. So Prashansa, how much was it for you?
For mine, it was pretty low, like because I got placed with the first company that was there in the college, so I stopped doing it after it. So hardly I have solved 100 questions, and all the easy level questions only. I never gone for the medium and difficulty. I will just be honest. So, like people are asking for the plan here, how to start the DSA. So, just wanted to bring few points over there. So, if you are a beginner with these platforms like LeetCode or HackerRank, so just don't go on any random question and start that. So you should have a one syllabus. Like today, you will practice only array type of question and just the easy level. When you have done 100 types of easy questions, then you should go on to another topic like these strings. Then you can go on the math question, like some pattern questions are there, prime number questions are there. So just go step by step directly. Don't jump to difficulty questions. And there is no limit how many questions you are solving. इनिशियल डेज में आपको चाहे एक इजी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने के लिए 1 आवर भी लग सकता है एंड वही इजी क्वेश्चन आप आफ्टर 1 मंथ यू विल बी सॉल्विंग इन जस्ट 5 मिनट्स सो इट्स विद द प्रैक्टिस ओनली सो देयर इज नो हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल कि कितने क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करके हमें एक अच्छा पैकेज मिलेगा.
And I think adding on to what Prashansa said, like it also matters which chronological order you are following for solving the problems. So let's say if you want to attempt a question on, let's say, binary search, it's important that you understand that binary search works only on sorted data sets. So it's better if you would have done questions on sorting first if you're trying to approach a problem on binary search. Or let's say if you're trying to solve a problem on binary search tree, it's important you understand trees or binary trees first to move on to that. So a logical and understanding of the order in which you could solve problems is really important. So I think these platforms like LeetCode and Geeks for Geeks have a lot of courses and free tutorials in which they have arranged the order. But even if you need our help, I can share you the plan which I followed during my college days. And I think even for Ishika, while she was preparing for Google, so she had limited time for, let's say, around 3 4 months before the Google interview. So what all questions she solved and what ordered she followed, we can share, and that might be help. So just join the WhatsApp group, and we'll be able to share all these details in that. Uh, but yeah, before I forgot, so Ishka, what was your number which you followed? How many questions did you solve before joining Google in your college days?
I'll answer that, but before that, I want to bring this up. Okay, so being from an EC branch, I did not have the right kind of curriculum that I was looking for. As you mentioned, I did not have that roadmap or how to approach a problem or what topics to look at first, or what resources should I look for. And this was very confusing, and I was like and honestly, there were very limited number of people in college, in my branch specifically, who were doing the essay or wanted to get into software. And generally people in college don't share what they're working on, how they're studying and stuff like that. So it was getting very difficult for me. And I know there are a lot of resources available on YouTube and everywhere. There are courses on Coursera and thousands of websites that you can refer to. But and people say that you can just go online and start studying. There's like unlimited number of options. But for me, I, because of the lack of that roadmap or that curriculum, I was struggling a lot with that. So I would like to suggest you guys not to listen to everybody who says ki you can do this on your own, just go or get on a website and start learning from YouTube or things like that. If, let's say, you're not able to do that, there is no shame or harm in spending some extra money and getting the subscribed courses that you can. Actually, that helps a lot, because these people not just teach you, but they mentor you as well. They help you with your resume building, they help you with your mock interviews. So this helps a lot, and this helped me personally a lot. And I think coming to the number of questions that I might have solved, I actually don't remember, but it was around 300 to 400 questions. And right before Google interview, I guess I was practicing like 10 12 questions a day.
Okay.
So yeah, I think as Prashansha mentioned, in the beginning it was like not just 1 hour for one question. It took me like 3 days for one question. I was stuck and I did not get the approach. But this is the beauty of the coding platforms that you practice on. You have discussions that are there. You have the um, you can read the editorial, and there are a number of articles that you can read on websites. Let's say Geeks for Geeks, let's say you're learning about arrays or some specific algorithm. So there are a number of articles that you'll read, and slowly and gradually you'll get better grasp of it. So initially you'll study a topic, you'll understand it, you'll be like, yeah, I know how, let's say, trees work. But when you read a lot and you practice a lot, there are next levels of understanding these concepts that you get, and you will experience it only after you practice a lot. So that is really important that you do it.
Right.
You don't have to do 10 questions a day. Even if you do 2 questions a day and you are consistent with that, that will take you a great way.
Yeah, that's precisely correct. That rather than solving 10 very similar questions, is better to solve two different questions on different topics. So that's really important. And I'll just move the mic to Kushagra to get my answer. What was the number for him? And then Ayush, I want the number from you as well.
Aditya, in my college at third year, I started this habit of competitive coding, and like in span of 3 months, I like developed the love for CP. So I made multiple profiles on across different platforms. A rough figure is something ki at lead code I have solved about 200 questions in one profile. Another profile I couldn't track the number. At hacker rank it's 200 plus questions. At hacker cup there is sorry, hacker earth, it's also something about 200 plus figure.
Oh.
And then there is a binary search, that's bindarysearch.com. Over there it's about 100 plus questions, so aggregate of something 600 questions, a lot of variety. And yeah, code
The
forces is
Kushag
something like
wins.
code forces around 70 80 questions from there also. So near about 700 is the number.
Kushagra wins hands down. It's like
Yeah.
I
And
think
whenever
people.
I'm trying applying for a switch or making a preparation again, I will dismantle all the like previous profiles, restarting a new profile and do the same.
Oh,
Oh, that's crazy. So I think he must have solved like close to 1,000 questions at least. So, guys, you know whom to reach out to ask your all DSA related specific questions. So, Kushagra is the person. I think you should teach us as well, like some DSA problems.
I will plan for someday. We'll hold a webinar against it.
Sure. And Ayush, what was your number?
Honestly, during undergrad, I think I had solved around 10 to 15 problems.
Okay, then we should
No, no,
ask
in the
Ayush how he managed to crack so good companies with this
honestly,
profile.
just based on the profile, like I'm from CS branch, right? So I had done courses on DSA and algorithms. So I already knew everything, but I hadn't practiced a lot. Practiced a lot. I think many of our comments also said that I know the theory, but I haven't practiced. So the companies which I was part of, they weren't product companies which required a lot of DSA. So like Dell did not require a lot of DSA. Wells Fargo also did not require a lot of DSA, but they required core CS concepts, which I was clear in. But like I know that DSA is important in very good companies as well. So in like last 3 4 months, I have done 400 problems.
Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, I mean, like there would be a lot of people, and especially in college campus, it's not necessary that you're very good with DSA or aiming for companies who route through this path of DSA. So can you talk a bit about like what all subjects, let's say you mentioned Dell and other companies which didn't have a very strong requirement for DSA. So can you talk a bit about what all companies don't have such strict requirements, and what courses or what subjects should we prepare to get into these?
Sure. I think one of the main subjects, like 3 4 subjects, which are very important, are operating systems, computer networks, and database management. Like these 3 subjects are basically very core CS subjects. So every company expects that you know the basics of these subjects if you're applying for a computer science related role. And having good experiences matter a lot. Like I'm pretty sure the person who was taking my interview in Dell was very impressed by the fact that I had worked with a satellite project in accordance with ISRO, and I had published 2 research papers also. Like he was very fascinated by that fact, and he was like, I remember 40% of my interview was we were just talking about that particular experience, and I had good projects on my resume as well that time. So we spent a very good amount of time talking about like what the projects were, how I spent time on doing that, and what I learned you doing that project specifically. So the companies like you get to know from your seniors only. Like I also remember during like beginning of my placement season, I had already shortlisted like 2 or 3 companies which were really good, and they required the least amount of DSA. And Wells Fargo was one of the top companies in my list that time because it was one of the best companies with almost no DSA requirements. They asked me very simple array questions in their interview. So that time I had made a list like that, and I was specifically targeting for those companies because I knew how much preparation I had. So I was targeting companies like that, and that seemed very effective that time.
Right. And Ayush, then I think people should reach out to you if they are applying to Wells Fargo. So maybe you can connect them
Yeah, for
to
sure.
someone in the company. And yeah, yeah, Prashansa has her hands up. So yeah,
Yeah,
Prashansa.
so want to add on things which Ayush just mentioned. So like I was also very weak in DSA when I come in this industry. Like so, अगर आपको आप third year में and you are going for placements and आपको भी DSA बिल्कुल भी नहीं आती है, so just don't panic. मतलब थोड़ा DSA तो आना चाहिए, basic आप अभी भी कर सकते हैं, but just don't dive कि एकदम से अभी हाई लेवल डेटा स्ट्रक्चर सीख जाए. Whether you can do is you can improve your core concepts like oops concept which Ayush was mentioning कि अगर आपसे अभी oops concept के questions पूछते हैं so at least that you are able to answer अगर DSA के questions नहीं हो रहे हैं. So there is a trade off, like at least you are better and expert at the another thing if you are low at some this DSA. So जो स्टूडेंट्स है आई हैव सीन लाइक दे डू दीज बेसिक मिस्टेक्स कि वो कोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स में भी काफी हाई लेवल चीजें पढ़ने चले जाते हैं कि जैसे स्प्रिंग बूट क्या होता है, स्प्रिंग क्या होता है, जस्ट फॉरगेटिंग कि क्लासेस क्या होते हैं जावा में या फिर सी प्लस प्लस में पॉइंटर्स क्या होते हैं एंड इनहेरिटेंस क्या होता है, इनहेरिटेंस जावा में कौन सा एक्स्ट्रा है, सी प्लस प्लस में कौन सा नहीं है. सो दीज आर द बेसिक क्वेश्चंस दैट दे फॉरगेट प्रैक्टिसिंग. So that is very important.
Yeah,
Nice.
I would actually like to echo on these 2 points that Ayush and Prashansa mentioned. First one was that shortlisting companies that are coming to your college is a very important thing that you have to take care of. Because let's say you are applying for an company or an average company that you don't really want to get into, but colleges have this criteria that if you get placed in one company you cannot sit for another and you get blacklisted for that. So you should keep in mind what companies you're applying for and not make this mistake at least. uh,
Yeah, just don't set for the first company which is coming. So, there actually this happened with us too, Ishika. In our batch, the first company which came was Deloitte, and they came for a non-technical role.
hmm,
So a lot of and they hired like 80 to 90 people, almost like a mass recruiter from our college. So a lot of people who were capable enough to get into companies like Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Amazon, and all, they couldn't sit because they got into Deloitte. And having said that, Deloitte itself is a very amazing company, but the on-campus placements is something you might take a bit risk on, because your competitors are just the college students and not the entire community, as in what is the case in the case of off-campus. So take slight risk maybe in first or second week, that reserve your chance for a better company, and if you couldn't get into those, then move on to applying to all the companies as and when they are coming. So that is really important. uh, so yeah, another question which is coming from Shridi and other people is like, is C++ a good language for practicing DSA, and what is your take on languages like Python? I think Pratik took a course on GFG for Python. So um, yeah, and I think Creator Studio as well. Can we go with Python? So uh, can maybe Kushagra or someone take up this question?
Yeah, DSA with Python, like mostly people don't do DSA with Python, but I have done my CPA whole with Python only. So language is language doesn't make any like difference. The concept remains the same. The logic is the thing that the most of the companies are looking for. You are able to crack the logic. Language just a way of defining those things. Language like representation is there. Like from Python, you get a bunch of libraries. Similarly, C++ got a bunch of libraries that help you to like easily solve. Like if you are going CP with C, then that's little difficult because you need to write the whole code and will take definitely a lot of time. But when it comes to C++ and Java, and Python, you can completely code the whole question in 10-15 minutes. That a C will definitely take about an hour.
And
So
Kushagra, was Python just the only language you learned, or was it complementary with some other language as well?
well, I learned Java, Python, C, not C++, but yeah, I got variety of languages under my hands, but sleeves. But I coded in like competitive programming. When it comes to competitive programming, I already like did only in Python.
Right. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So when you're coding, have one language specific. You might have knowledge of others as well, but you should be very much familiar with the syntax of at least once. And uh, try having at least one object oriented programming in your hood. So Python might not be very intuitive with object oriented programming, I guess. But C++, like a lot of people are asking, is it good? And I feel, yeah, that is the case because I did C++, and I think Prashansa and Ishka, these people were into Java. So have at least one object oriented programming on your hood. And like Kushagra said, stick to one language for coding while you are doing competitive coding. If you like Python, let that be the coding language, but stick and have knowledge of at least one apart from that. So let's say Python you can use for scripting, and C++ Java for your object oriented concepts.
And like as Kushagra mentioned, there are a lot of libraries that are integrated into these languages. You might be using these libraries to do some functionality, but it is important to know how these libraries work. Let's say you're using a sort function to sort something, so you should know how this sort function works, or what algorithm it uses, or what is the time complexity for it. So these things the interviewer might ask you, and you should be able to answer these questions, not just you just don't have to make your code work, you have to know how your code works as well, right? So this is very important.
Yeah, exactly. So in a lot of cases, like we use this library sort which sorts the whole array. And I remember during my Microsoft interview, I did the same. It was a question, something more elaborate question, and a part of it required sorting the array. So I just used the library in my code, and then the interview was like, can you talk a bit of time complexity of this sort which you're using? So even if you're using a library, you must be knowing the concept that okay, internally it's using merge sort or quick sort, and what's the worst case time complexity. And if you're slightly unlucky like how I was, he asked me to actually write my own custom method of that sorting function. So I had to write the complete merge sort code into that. So libraries are good, especially in online tests. No one is going to pinpoint you. Use libraries as much as you can. During interviews, if you're unlucky, you might be asked like how the library works, and you should be prepared with that answer. So another question which
Yeah,
Vishwa,
I'll
yeah,
just add one more thing to this. I think people should understand the difference between how you code while you're giving a competitive test, or and how you're giving an online assessment for a company. So in online assessments, or let's say interviews, when you're coding, you have to keep in mind how you're naming the variables, because in competitive programming your aim is to make your code work as soon as possible, as fast as you can. But during online assessment, a lot of people forget about these minor things which make a huge impact. So you should understand the difference between these two, right?
exactly. And uh, yeah, another question which we are getting is from Vishwas. Is design important for freshers? So maybe Prashansa can take this up, and she's working as a senior engineer in Visa. So, Prashansa, what do you think? So, for a fresher, how important role can a system design play, and do they actually ask a lot of system design straight out of college? What is the trend like?
No, Aditya. So, from freshers' point of view, system design is not really important. I don't think any company at present is asking system design questions to the freshers. If you have time, you can study about it. It's good to have a knowledge, but don't deep dive into it. With respect to interviews, in interviews, my answer is it is never asked. So you just practice on the DSA part, and good on your communication skills. Practice on that, how the way you are answering the questions, and then another thing is the OOPS concepts. no need to practice DSA.
Yeah, and I echo the same. So even when we are going to colleges for hiring, especially for visa, at least in my panel, no one ever asked system design because we are expecting more on the basic fundamentals. But having said that, if you want, you have genuine interest into learning system design, especially the low level system design for an SD2 or senior role, and later on moving to the high level system design, you should definitely um, go for it, take courses on it, but it shouldn't be your bread and butter. Your bread and butter is the your core concepts, object oriented programming, DSA. These are the things which will get you first job, especially if you are straight out of college campus. But yeah, if you are someone who has 2 to 3 years of experience, who's planning to switch off campus into a better role or a bigger MNC, you should definitely have system design handy, and you should definitely contact Prashansa, because in Visa also she's very popular with her Spring Boot knowledge and low level and high level system design. So you should definitely reach out to her and ping her with your all doubts related to system design. And in fact, you can reach out to me as well. If I'll be able to guide you, I'll be really happy.
Yeah,
So,
I
Adit, just
yeah, yeah.
yeah, just want
Arjun,
to add it.
yeah.
Yeah, Ishika, you can go ahead.
No, no, you can go ahead. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. So what I can recall when I was like looking forward jobs during like as a like, fresher off campus, so there was a Hasdin. It had a very hard interview process at that time. Now they have like dropped the standards of the interview, but at that time as a startup they had a very tough round. So they don't ask system design, but yes, they do ask DB designs.
Right.
A fresher DB design can be a question, but system design I don't feel that can be a question.
Yeah.
After an year you have experience, then you can move for LD.
can you add on this thing when you say DB design? What does that mean? DB
Yeah,
design.
Prashant sir. When it comes to DB designing, we are looking forward to how basically he's structuring the schema. What entities will be there? What will the actors? So that UML design will be like more in depth, and you need to frame a DB out of it.
Yeah, like what would be the primary key of your schema?
Yes.
What would be the foreign keys
How
for
will
your
those
schema? Yeah,
entities will like relate to
yeah,
themselves?
yeah. And in fact, that is just an extension of the database systems which we've learned. So that could definitely be a good question. And I think with startups, especially since the stakes are very high, they might want to slightly uh, deeper into like how would you plan to design a certain database, or how would you at least start approaching the problem as compared to bigger MNCs, because in startup you might be pretty much playing a higher roles from the day one itself. So yeah, that makes complete sense, Kushagra. Thanks.
Other thing can also be oops designing can like be a part, like designing a chess game or snake and ladder is a maximum worst thing they can ask for the experience.
Right.
So, Aditya, just one thing, one more question is coming like, should we go for DSA or web development while going for interviews for freshers or after getting graduated as well? So, would
Right.
you like to start on?
So yeah, on that I think definitely you should have at least one good project on your portfolio on which you can talk for at least an hour. Either you have a one very good project or an internship, uh, either that, or you should be very good with DSA, or a slight mix of both. But will you get hired based on just your web design knowledge? Probably the answer is no. And similarly, I think in the comments there was a question: is the market is not doing good, and how important is the role of Gen AI and artificial intelligence into freshers for getting placement? So I think it is a cherry on the pie, but it can't be pie itself. So even when we are hiring for data scientist role or even data analyst roles, um, and especially if the person is a fresher, we wouldn't be hiring or judging the person on his knowledge, core competency of Gen AI, or let's say web design alone. it is definitely an add-on, but he should have his basic fundamentals and DSA on point. And then once that is declared that okay, his basic core CS fundamentals are good, then we'll probably move to the discussion on what all projects has he done. And that could be anything. It doesn't has to be necessarily Android. It does not need to be necessarily web design, and it doesn't even has to be necessarily Gen AI or machine learning. So, and this keeps on evolving. So I remember 7 years back, people were like, "Ki Android Studio is the next big thing. If you know Android, you can easily get hired." Then it moved on to web design for a lot of time, and today in the current scenario, it is Gen AI and artificial intelligence. And I'm pretty sure in 3 4 years it will change to something else. So that thing is not constant. So we should not focus on something which is not very constant. And CS fundamentals were relevant during my time as well. I think when Ishka and Ayush they are closer to getting graduated, it was relevant, and even relevant during Prashansa and Kushagra's time. So that, and I'm pretty sure the next generation when they are coming, it would be relevant to those as well. So they are not going anywhere. So they are here to stay, and we should master them as much as we can.
Hey, before we move on to the next question, I would just like to say that I have some prior commitments and I have to
Yeah.
leave right now. It was a delight talking to all of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
And if
Ayush.
anybody wants,
Joining.
and if anybody wants some help or like a referral or something in a company, please feel free to approach me on the WhatsApp group.
Sure. And
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you so much.
Ayush, for your
yeah,
insights,
thank
and
you, Ayush.
great
Yeah,
to
thanks,
have you
Ayush.
more on this chat.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
So,
thank you.
Ishika, there is a question coming up for you. How can we make some projects? Like, what projects you would like to suggest freshers should make so that they can highlight in their interviews?
Yeah, and guys, even we should wrap up.
Yeah,
Like
let's.
we'll take 2 3 more questions in a very rapid fire fashion, and then we'll
Yeah.
wrap up. And I know this session is not uh, huge enough to cover all the doubts, and probably if more people are interested, we'll have these kind of sessions focus. Let's say one could be on resume building, one could be on actual how to solve a DS problem. Just join the WhatsApp group and just let us know what you want to learn, and we'll try arranging sessions on those, and we can even have mock interviews if someone is having a interview scheduled in upcoming times for a particular company. We can do that. But yeah, let's just quickly take up as many questions possible in rapid fire. So yeah, Ishka, please go ahead with this.
Yeah, first, so for building projects, I would say you can build anything that drives you. To be more specific, yesterday I saw a fellow Googler work on this project where uh, he created this setup for being able to suppress Spotify ads whenever they come. And while the ad is there, he would the setup would mute the Spotify and instead play a normal song from your downloaded playlist from your phone itself. And once when that ends, it again gets to Spotify and plays the normal playlist that you were listening to. So I mean, your projects can be as basic as this, or you can make your own portfolios like a lot of people do to highlight their front end skills and stuff like that. If you search on internet, there are thousands of ideas, but I would say don't just copy your project from the internet. Maybe to start you can learn that way. You can go to YouTube or use Stack Overflow or something like that to learn how to create projects, and then later build anything that drives your mostly irritates yours, or something that you're lazy to do and you just automate it. So there are numerous ideas that you can work on.
Okay, great. And yeah, I think Vishal has a question. Focus on DSA or Android. If you have just limited time, I'll say go for DSA. It will land you up in better places. And He's a recent graduate with BCA, and especially because a lot of companies don't care whether you are a BTech, MTech, BCA, anything. Especially in visa, if you are able to crack interviews, you can join. But the more focus would be on DSA. So I'll just say, given a choice, stick to that. Then there's another question by Creator Studio. Like, can you suggest some projects, Ishka, for second year?
Yeah, I think I've
Yes,
already
you
taken
can
that up.
in that.
Yeah.
So one question, Aditya, was there like regarding the GD round. So this was the question from Samyak, from where we can practice for GD round, and what is the cutoff for Accenture and any other big MNC. So I will take up that question. So for the MNCs like Accenture and we have this Deloitte and Cognizant, Capgemini. For these companies, the cutoff is 7, but as we mentioned, like maintain the minimum CGPA of 8. And regarding the GD round, so the companies which come for mass hiring, like suppose 100 of students are eligible for that company, but they want only 30-40 students, so there is an elimination round which is GD round. So you can, there are multiple online platforms that we can put up in this group, the WhatsApp group you can join. So there you can practice your GD, or whenever you are in your friend circle, just start a topic and start your points, putting strong points first, so that will help.
Yeah, that makes sense. And uh, there's a lot of other questions coming. What should we make sure in second year? Kushagra, if you could take that, like what all steps or a roadmap, if you can tell us for your second year, which would help us prepare better for internships and placements.
Yeah, for second year, you don't got a hectic schedule. So you can start focusing more on the depth of programming. Like pick up a programming language, master it in depth, like how you will be approaching a problem. Then you can start moving towards the goal of competitive programming. Start with the minimum easy questions. Do participate in hackathons, and in code chef there are some rounds going on where it's held up to about a week. Do solve, take your time, you got plenty of time right now. So after a five, you got a question for 5 days up to you can solve it in 5 days. Take your time, and after 5 days, do a research how it, like find a tutorial, read about them. Take your time getting in the discussions round of the lead code questions, code chef questions. Try to understand all the possible solutions that other people have came across. So right now you got time in second year. So try engaging more in competitive programming. Side by side, since you are learning programming language, you can also uh, find a tech stack related to it. Like you are, if you are learning Java, try to find Java got Spring Boot. So what are the easy projects that you can build on Spring Boot? Similarly, if you're like learning Python, try finding Django more in depth. Like try exploring Django, make small projects on Django, because at second year you got too much time. But I will more suggest to more focus on discussions involving DSA, because at the end moment when the companies are there in third year or fourth year, you can't like a lot of time there. You need to prepare in every way, and only DSA is the thing that must be focused at that time. But it must be too much pressure to handle everything in time. So
Right.
be prepared, like beforehand.
Yeah,
So
makes
in
sense.
second year, do take care of DSA.
Right. Makes sense. Panel, can you also post your LinkedIn profile on the chat if people want to connect with you or have more doubts? So that would be really helpful for them. Another question which I got from Aditya Verma is like he's asking the market is not doing good. So what steps can we do to ensure that we still are relevant? And this is more from a off-campus and mid-level point of view as well, and for freshers as well. So are there actually job openings available, or people are still hiring, or how's the market going? So probably I can take, and maybe Prashansa also can pitch in this. So honestly saying, yeah, the market is slightly tougher. The placements have dropped. There's no doubt or denying in that. Everywhere we are seeing that crunch. But having said that, the need for quality engineers is still there. Like if you see, no matter how much news came from Microsoft, Google, and even let's say Dunzo got shut down and everything, these companies are still hiring. You might still find openings. They are still hiring interns as well. In fact, in my current team as well, there are two people currently interning, and there is role available for them for becoming full time as well. So there is no dearth of engineers if you are specially qualified enough. You'll have to step up your game. There's no denying that. Let's say if during my time solving problems for array strings were good enough, so in current times the level has risen up to dynamic programming and graph and advanced data structures as well. So you should be equipped with that, and these kind of questions might come which earlier might not have been coming during my time. So that is a slight change which have occurred. And same goes with the projects as well, or the internships as well. If let's say they dived into the level X depth of that project, the intensity has gone to X plus 10 or X plus 15 now. They'll ask you if you used a particular technology. Let's say if you're using Spring Boot, what is Spring Boot, why did you plan to use it as compared to any other framework. So whatever project you're doing, make sure, or whatever technology you are using, make sure you have in-depth knowledge of that, and you are able to compare and contrast amongst those. And let's say if you're using a database, MySQL database in your project, so a very valid question could be, why did you not choose a non-relational database, and why only MySQL? So you should be able to answer questions like these, that MySQL is a relational database and we had a requirement of rolling back data and these kind of things. So you should be prepared with these questions, especially even when I go for taking interviews in colleges, or I'm taking someone for an off campus, I would dive into these level of details, so be better prepared. So that's another thing. And I'll take up the last question and then maybe we can wrap up. uh, in the comments there are, okay, a lot of questions. Guys, can you help with the comments, which one we
Ankur
should
has
take?
asked one question. I joined late, so not sure if this was covered. But how can a non-fresher switch from non-SD profile to a SD profile position?
Right, Ishka, can you take that up?
I think you would be better to take this question since you have made a lot of switches.
Yeah, so one thing is, internal hires. If you're already working somewhere in a non-tech profile, internal job hiring portal is one very good tool which you could use to switch your profile. And courses, especially certification courses, definitely help. If you're taking from Udemy or such platform, you can definitely add those to your resume. And eventually I would say everything's boils down to clearing the interview. If you're able to clear the interview, it's all good and sorted. And if you could show some kind of leverage, that let's say if you're a DevOps engineer, if you could say that being a DevOps engineer, you did some kind of automation into this, which is pretty much a role of a software engineer. So those kind of arguments, if you could put with your manager, hiring manager, or HR, then you definitely have a very good chance. And especially, I think in Prashansa's team at Visa, there have been examples where testers got converted to full-time software developers. So maybe Prashansa, if you could add a bit on that.
Yeah, so like when I joined Visa in my team, there were two testers, and with this in the industry, which all is going like a lot of firing is happening, so they were pretty scared. So I remember one of the developers, she came to me and she was very worried. She was doing the setup of Java and all. So I suggested her like learn from the basic of Java, as I mentioned here as well. Learn the basic hooks and start picking up simple things. Yashika also mentioned that like whatever things that you feel like, start doing automation of that. She was doing testing everything manually. So I suggested her, instead of doing that manually, write a script to do that automatically, like move it to the automation part. And now if you have written the script, now try to call that script from the Java code. So always like look around you to find out the things which you can do automate that. So that would help pretty much.
Okay. Okay, with that, I think we can wrap up, guys. If you have more questions, just use the WhatsApp group channel and we'll be happy to answer you those. We'll see if there's something more specific. We'll plan more sessions like these. And if you guys are interested in mock interviews, I can connect with you. Uh, People into the relevant companies, if it's with Google, Visa, Prashansa, Ishka, and with ClearTax, Kushagra can definitely help. Also, we might be planning, since a lot of request is coming for, can you teach us DSA, since we have gone through the whole journey, and um, in our panel we have people having good profiles in profiles like Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code. We might plan to have a paid lectures on DSA as well, where we'll be helping you and teaching you different concepts in a very planned manner. So if you're interested, you can join that too. And thank you, Kushagra, Prashansa, Ishka, for taking time for us and helping us out. This was really helpful, and like I am sure a lot of people will be benefiting from this session. So, thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks Aditya for
and Tushar.
bringing us up. I think like we would have helped at least few of them with their questions. The questions that we have not taken, most probably you can ask us on that WhatsApp group. We will be answering that.
And for the next sessions, we'll also try to bring in more panel members from different and diverse experiences for you to get as much exposure to this as you
Yeah.
can.
And feel free to bother everyone with referral requests, including myself. I'll be really happy to help you guys. And even for resume review, and if you just want a normal LinkedIn profile review as well, please connect us with all of us. I've shared the profile on LinkedIn, and we'll be really happy to either refer you or just review your profile. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.
But
Yeah, bye everyone.
Bye.